Good morning, YouTube friends and gardeners. So that's a little cup of the pea tips because the peas were done and that was the only green left on them and there was no more flowers. So I put these into water hoping they'll sprout a couple roots. And for my fall planting, I could put these in as well and have a jump start on the peas. I've got a lot put up in my freezer already, so they were very productive. But the trellis blew over in a windstorm, so I beefed up the trellis and planted cucumbers. Here's the new trellis. So those big sticks I coppiced from my hazelnut bush in front. And then I did one big fat one going across. And then I put the net trellis that I had used for the peas at the top. And I strung some mason line at the bottom. And then I moved my cucumbers because they were in a bit of a shady spot. So they're still in a little bit of a transplant shock. Well, this one's doing well. This one here had grabbed onto a marigold, so I cut the marigold with it. And its lower leaves are a little funky, but it seems to be acclimating itself. These two were growing together out of the same hole. So I have one going one way and one going the other way. The one going this way looks to be thriving. It's happy. And then I got one more at the end here that's doing okay. The bees were pollinating them yesterday, so I think they're going to make it. And then in front here, I stripped my chard seed that I had left to dry in the greenhouse. So I have the seed in the brown paper bag, and the stalks where I didn't get all the seed off, I put in this little pile here. So we'll see if some Swiss chard grows up and through there. And then I still have a red-veined sorrel. And some things that are pretty much fallen through. Oh, I cleaned off this path too. See my little sneaky side path? That was full of mint and these little yellow sundrops, but you're just about done. Here's one still blooming. Oh, and this is exciting. Look at this. My passion vines have reached the top. I've got two of them here. They're going to make a nice little arch. And they're blooming already. Look at, this is my favorite flower. I've done a couple of videos about these. But look at where they're growing up. This one's growing up in the rose bed over here, so that's kind of normal. But this one here is growing in the crack of the patio. They're tenacious little suckers. They pop up all over the yard now. That's why they call them maypops. Look, there's another flower. The bees will be sleeping and I'm drunk on the nectar before you know it. So I'm going to give you the garden tour, but I have to warn you right now that the yard is an absolute mess because I think I have a little ADD, ADHD, and I've got like a million projects started. So here is the cinder block bed, and the arugula keeps bulging, and I keep cutting off the seed stalks. The strawberries took well in the back here. I've got a marigold at each end over here. I've got a zinnia here, garlic chives, mint, red vein sorrel, oregano going to seed, lemon balm going to seed, chives, I snapped off the seeds, and comfrey. And then as I was weeding, I pulled some things off and put them in this little pot here. So we got a little blue ageratum, we got a black-eyed Susie, we've got a little marigold, and I hate to tell you, but the goldfish met his demise. I don't know if Joey found him or what, but I came out one morning and he was right here on the concrete. So I tossed him into the bed here, flower bed, and it looks like something got him already. So poor little goldfish. He had gotten big eating the mosquito larvae in here. So I told my neighbor I don't want any more goldfish. It's too upsetting when they die. So I might have to invest in some mosquito dunks or something. I don't know. But this dried out little bed here, again, I was weeding. So I took out some strawberries and I put them in this. I'm going to have to give my neighbor some of these crowns. I've got too many strawberries and I'm running out of real estate. And then this cold frame here houses my potatoes. And I noticed that I've got a rogue pumpkin or squash coming up in here now. So we'll see what these guys do here. If I get some potatoes out of this bed, I'm thinking that maybe I'll plant my garlic in here next year. And then here's one of the peach trees I finally got around to potting. And because it was just a sad little stick in this pot, I planted some things around it here. So I've got some petunias and some blue ageratum. So it'll give this pot some color. And then on this side of the bed, my fig tree is doing so good. If you guys remember, I took a stick from my cousin Mark's tree a couple years ago, and I rooted it, and that's what this plant is, and he's doing really well. Look at all the new growth at the top here, and there's a fig at the top here. You see little fig right here, and I got a whole bunch on this branch. Look at them all. I got a bunch down here too. It's kind of growing kind of wonky, but it's a happy little tree, so I'm gonna let it be. I might take some in the fall, clip these, take some cuttings and start some new plants. Hedge my bets so that I always have a fig tree. And then these are the sweet peas that are just about done. I'm getting some teeny tiny flowers still, and it's going to seed. So I wasn't real happy with the outcome of my sweet peas this year. See, they're all dry at the bottom, even though I've been watering them and we had a ton of rain. I wasn't real happy with the sweet pea flowers I got, and there's really not a scent to them, so I'm kind of disappointed. I'm going to have to try a different variety. And then I've got another pot here. Like I said, I did a bunch of weeding, so I tried to salvage things. I got a zinnia in here, a blue ageratum, some chamomile, some pink catchfly. And that's what's left of my rubber tree. I'll show you what I've been trying to snip it off. It was growing one big long stake. So I'm going to see if this will leaf out now. And I've rooted the tops. So I've got one good rubber tree at the top. And then I've got another one in water started. All right, so now if we come over here in the driveway, the mulberry tree is just about done. So I cut a bunch of branches off, clipped this back off the driveway. As you see, I have a big pile of leaves and sticks right there. That's mostly the mulberry branches in front of the fire pit there. And I've been slowly trying to repot these peach trees. So I did this one yesterday, and I did this one yesterday. And then I've got a bunch still in this pot to do. A couple of my girlfriends wanted peach trees, so I might just give them bare roots, dig them up out of the pot, put them in a plastic bag, let them go plant them. Because I'm running out of dirt, too. And in front of this wood pile here, I still have some garlic chives and sunchokes. I planted the pot of phlox in front. And then this rose bush was in front. See those two sticks? That's a rose bush. And it was not happy in front. Although it did flower, the flowers were kind of sad. So I stuck it in this pot. And again, so it didn't look like two sticks in a pot. As I was weeding, I put a bunch of catchfly in there and a marigold. And then there's one pot of horseradish. I've got more horseradish to dig up. Here's my other pot of sweet pea flowers that it was disappointing. It grew like gangbusters, but I really didn't get a lot of flowers. And they're teeny tiny, as you can see. Look at, it's tiny. And there's really not a scent to them. Okay, they're all going to seed. I put a piece of wire in here, chicken wire, old chicken wire I had lying around trying to get them to climb. See if I get some more flowers. So I think I'm going to end up pulling these out too. I'm planting a peach tree in this pot. Here is the mint. And yes, I did not do anything with this mint yet. So it's getting taller and taller. Let's see. It's about mid-thigh. So I've got to do something with my mint bed. But luckily it hasn't gone to flower yet. So I've got a little time still to play with. And there's one you could still see. Prickly pear cactus bloomed. See? Oh, there's a little bee in there. See him? See a little bee dancing around in there? They all bloomed already, so you see they're going to form all these prickly pears. And there's prickly pears from last year, the red ones, that I never harvested. So that's just about done. And then I've got some volunteer rudbeckia growing over here. And I moved my cold frame out of the way. I'll show you. They were covering the squashes to germinate. My lavender is doing well. In fact, I just took some cuttings of this lavender plant and put it in a little seed tray with some rooting hormone. So we'll see if I get 12 more plants. And if I do, maybe I'll make a little hedge going across here. We'll see. And then here's my hardy hibiscus. Now, it's doing well now. Look at the top. It looks really pretty. But if you go down to the bottom, see all that insect damage? I don't know what is causing that insect damage, but whatever it is, seems... Well, see these little flies on here? Can you see them? These little tiny flying bugs. I don't know if they ate the bad ones or what. So I was going to spray because I didn't know if I'd get any hardy hibiscus. But now that I see that it's doing well, I'm going to leave it alone and see what happens. Because it looks like I got some buds on here already starting. So I should get some hardy hibiscus flowers. I've got a marigold in this pot too. Now this bed here is a bit of a hodgepodge as well. See all these squashes over here? That's what I started under the cold frame. So those are taken off now. But behind them is my blackberries. And behind them is lemon balm. And then on the end here, I've got a tomato that has some bindweed growing up the side that I've got to get down there and weed. And Joey just came over to say hello. Say hi, Joe. We doing a little garden tour, sweetie? You say hi to our friends? Aw, you say good morning. So I have some marigolds planted in front of this bed as well. And then, see this trellis? That's where I had the cucumbers. Don't bite my toes, Joe. I left the holes. That's where I just pulled the cucumbers out from. I figured it was a little too shady over here for them and a little too full with the blackberries. Joey's trying to get my feet. So I moved the cucumbers, but the blackberry's about to start. See them? When they turn black, they're ready. And I've got some oxeye daisies that volunteered here. And some chives that I got to clip off the seed heads. And a bunch of weeds. And then down here is some basil that I planted. Oh, excuse my finger. I had to move the phone. Down here is some basil I planted that I've got to weed out. Oh, you can see better over here. Here's some nice basil. I need to plant some more basil because I like putting up some pesto for the winter. And then my thyme's doing well. I've got some oregano over here. And then a bunch of lemon balm seedlings I got to pull out. Now, if we go over here, there's Joseph wagging his tail. He likes when I get out in the garden because he demands my attention. He doesn't like when I give the plants more attention than I give to Joseph. So here's my bed of garlic, which is just about ready to harvest, but we had some rain the other day, so I'm kind of waiting for it to dry out a little bit. But that's going to be the next harvest. So we were talking about this garlic bed here, which I'm almost ready to harvest. Letting them dry out a little bit more, and then I'll pull them up I'll braid them. I'll hang them in the dry, probably the greenhouse to dry. And then I'll bring them in the house to store for the winter. I'm just about out of my garlic from last winter. I had a lot of it, but a lot of it dried up. So I'm going to have to find a little better place to store it. And then I have a sunflower here, which has a little bud right at the top. It's about ready. And then down here I planted some black turtle beans. I just put those in when I ripped out the Swiss chard. And I harvested the seed for the Swiss chard. And then next to that I've got my zucchinis, which are flowering. So it's about time to make some squash flower pancakes, I think. Oh, and I got a little baby zucchini in there. Good thing I looked. Look up. Can you see it? I got my first zucchini. You gotta keep an eye on these guys because they can tend to get big. And then you're making zucchini bread or zucchini boats out of them. Now, if you look under here, I've got a big weedy mess here, all right? Those are all asparagus ferns, which you leave till the fall under the peach tree here. And then I got some comfrey. And then those are strawberries and a bunch of weeds. So I need to weed. I got some volunteer black eyed Susies. And then my little bed of lettuce I need to weed. I had a little row of lettuce here. So that all needs to be weeded. I'm coming around by the pool here. See, there's the pool. I'm on the back side of the pool. And I'm under the peach tree now. And I got a ton of peaches still. Alright, I haven't seen any more peach leaf curl, but if you look close, I've got some more peaches I gotta pull off. Like, there's a really bad one. Oh, there's a bad one right there. I gotta pull these off. I gotta make clippers and get those and remove them totally from the garden. Understand that's curculios. And you can't leave the fruits rotting on the ground because they overwinter in the soil. So I need to trim this back even more. It's very aggressive. Look at this growth. Okay. Here's a branch from this year. Look at it's going all the way up here. So I'm going to have to prune this very aggressively, and I'm probably going to do that pretty soon too. Yeah, like I said about the mint, right? There's only so many hours in a day, and there's only one of me, so. Anyways, coming around here, past the asparagus ferns, I've got a new little trellis that I made. See that? Again, that's hazelnut canes I coppiced from the front yard. And then those are some reeds that I made, grapevine reeds. Let's go this way so you can see. And then I'll turn it back so you can see the whole thing. Little obelisk I made. And then these are the sun drops that are just about done. And every now and then I find a rogue potato. Look at, there's a rogue potato. Now these are coming up from a couple of years now that I've missed. Look at, that's a potato. Look at, there's another one right there. See that? So be careful where you plant your potatoes, because if you don't get them all, they will keep growing. And under this obelisk that I just planted, I don't know if anything's coming up or if that's just grass, but I planted Malabar spinach. And I don't know if that's going to come up, so I might be planting something else here. In the meantime, there is one little seed in the corner there, down there. That is a purple morning glory. And those climb too. And I try not to let them go because they're almost as bad as bindweed. It's the same family, actually. But if all else fails, I might just try that up, this obelisk for this year. And then I've got some pink catchfly here at the end. And a sunflower. Now we're at the pool filter. And the deck box. And the pool shed. But over here, I want to show you. I thought I got all the horseradish, but I didn't. Look at the size of that horseradish. And there's another one here. And there's another one growing in the blocks. And I think that might be horseradish too. And then my blueberries are just starting. I am getting some blueberries, but I've got horseradish all in this bed. So I gotta get in here and start digging up all this horseradish, or I'm gonna have an issue. And start harvesting some of these blueberries, which I'm excited about. Remember I said I didn't know if I was gonna get any? I've been trying to do some weeding over here. I've got another blackberry, and I've got a bleeding heart, and this was all weeds over here. So I've been trying to weed this out and trim up this cherry tree. This still needs some work too. I want to find me a book, Grow a Little Fruit Tree, because my trees are not little. So nobody ever taught me. I'm trying to learn from YouTube, and look at the size of this sucker. I'm going to have to borrow my neighbor's pole saw to get that down. It's gotten way too big. And it's kind of bare on this side because that's where the magnolia tree was. So I'm going to have to train some branches to come this way. There's the stump for the magnolia. It was huge. Oh, there's my little friend. He's got some shells for his feet. And this shaded the whole backyard. So my pool's been staying a lot warmer now since that came out. But I've got a lot of stuff back here. Look at, I've got daylilies. They just started to bloom. And some hostas. See, the purple hostas are blooming. And see that there? That's that dried stuff. Those are those silver dollars, also known as lunaria. And in front, I've got some irises. Those are done. And I planted a sunflower here. I've got a sunflower right here. And then some of the sundrops, excuse me, sundrops. And those are just about all done. And then I've got a couple of rogue carrots that are making seed. And then there is my rhubarb. I've got a couple of rhubarbs. And I'm not going to climb back there, but you can see I've got a weedy mess. I've got daffodils back there too that I got to cut out the foliage. And then I started planting some sunflowers. Now this here is actually a pepper cage. And I put a bunch of the stalks that I cut from the lunaria to dry on this cage. So those all have to be peeled still. And then I've got some rudbeckia here. This I think is a mighty weed. And then my sunflowers are just about to start. I've got some sunflowers here. And then rudbeckia, more carrots, some pink catchfly. Then I got some sundrops in here. I put a tomato here at the end. And then I got a passion vine that I'm going to try to train up this pole. Oh, can you see it? There's the passion vine. I'm going to train it up the arbor and onto the wreaths. And then this little sink that I never finished hooking up. There's my hose. I've been working on this little project here, okay? I got another bleeding heart in the corner. But this is my greenhouse that I rescued from the dumpster. And I had a bed edging out the outside here. But if you see, if I go around this other side here, it's a listing to the left. See, it's not straight. This side is straight. This side isn't. So I had to take everything out of here. Well, almost. I'm not quite done. And I'm digging up some of this dirt. So I'm working on this greenhouse project. So I had a lot of stuff growing in it. So if you look down here at all these pots, I've got a bunch of bleeding heart babies. Rudbeckia. Oh, I moved them. A couple pots of rudbeckia. Those are all the bricks that I'm going to reuse. Still got my shovel here. And my rain barrel. I have some passion vines in the rain barrel. Seeing if I can get those to root. And then I've got my tomatoes that I just started trellising up. These are beefsteak tomatoes. Okay. And then here is my parsley that I'm trying to let go in a seed. Because I want more parsley seeds. The flies have been all over this. And then this one here, is he still out? I made a video already, but there was one out here yesterday. Hungry, hungry caterpillar. Black swallowtails. Oh, no, I just see flies and bees. But black swallowtail caterpillars like that. Look at this mess. Look at this picnic table mess, okay? There's some more lunaria drying. I got a bag of Swiss chard seed. I got a bag of daffodils. On that tray is rapini, or broccoli rabe seeds that I've got to shell. And then the sage, I don't know if it's ever going to come up. I don't know if those are two little sage plants or if those are two little weeds. Same thing here with the forget-me-nots. Now, there's a bunch of stuff in here. I don't know which are the forget-me-nots and which are the weeds. Probably all weeds. And that is a pink catchfly. And a dead stick of eggplant from last year that I was hoping would come back but didn't. And then these are supposed to be baby's breath. And these are supposed to be red chrysanthemums. So, I don't know. Probably not. And then we've got this bed. Now, we're under a nice tarp. Okay, see my canopy? I made this canopy to give me some shade in the backyard because since the magnolia tree is gone, I needed shade. So I have a big bed in front. Okay, I'm back outside and continuing the little garden tour for today. And in this bed, I showed you the cucumbers and my new trellis. But I still have lettuce going strong in here. Look at all this lettuce. Now, some of it is about to bolt. So I've been ripping out, and I've got my refrigerator full of some lettuce to eat. There's a rogue carrot and a seed. That's a beefsteak tomato, and I've got a flower on it. And I've got a little baby beefsteak tomato started. And that was the chamomile I hacked way back, and it didn't seem to survive, so I'm going to rip that one out. Volunteer rudbeckia, volunteer blue ageratum. I've got to get those out of here because they don't belong in a vegetable bed. All right, so I'm in the process of planting new stuff here. Here's a little cabbage moth. See him? He's looking for cabbages, but I don't have any this year. All right, so I showed you the passion vine arch. Well, I've got a grapevine over here too. And I got a cluster of grapes. Now, I always get black spot, so I don't know if I'm going to get any grapes. My yard seems to be too damp for grapes. And the rose has already bloomed. So we'll see if I get a second rose, but I got some black spot on that rose too. But anyways, this was the original strawberry bed. And what I did is I ripped out a bunch of stuff right underneath this trellis here because I've got tomatoes and red noodle beans planted in here that I'm going to train up mason lines. And some of these tomatoes are getting big. See, look at that one. And it looks like I got a bunch of down there. See those little heart-shaped leaves? Those are purple morning glories that I've got to rip out because they'll take over this entire bed. Look at this one. There's one that's taken hold. See it? Get that out of there. And then over here, look at, I told you the passion vines pop up all over the place. Look at, there's a passion vine. I ripped that out. Whoa, he's all the way over here. Look at that. That's a big one. That's a pile of compost. I make little piles all over. Look at, there's another passion vine. I make little piles of compost all over my yard because I ran out of real estate. Strawberry bed. Yeah, I got a couple passion vines in there. I got to weed the strawberry bed. All right, and I gotta trim back this peach tree. Look at, there's a couple of bad leaves. That means there's buggies there. So I started doing some. I got a bucket here. I got more to do. We'll go for a walk down the path to the pool because I didn't show you what I've got behind the pool and behind the garage and straight ahead here. So I got a giant plantain, broadleaf plantain, that I'm letting go in the seed because I don't have a lot of broadleafs. I had a lot of English ones, so I want a couple more broadleaf plantains. And then a lemon balm that I gave a haircut has bounced back nicely. But look at these guys. Those are all sugar baby pumpkins. And I had composted in this pile here. Look at, I had composted in this pile, so they're very happy. And then a lot of the little treats that Joey's been bringing me, little mice and little birds that he gets, I've been tossing back there. So it's feeding this pumpkin, and it's coming all the way out behind the pool. I'm gonna trim the mock orange, that's going nuts. And then I got a wild grape here that's going nuts. And I don't know if you could see way back there, but the raspberries are just about starting. I've got a couple of raspberries on there. So I gotta trim this back and then start harvesting the raspberries behind the pool here. And then on this side, I planted some phlox. And then let's go up this little path that I edged with, these are wild violets. And that bug is attacking the wild violets too, so. But you see the grapevine? See the grapevine? It looks pretty healthy, but then again, every year it does. And then the black spot takes them out before I get any grapes. I've got a bunch of grape clusters. See them? And then also kiwi vine. A bunch of kiwis and a bunch of grapes. And that's everything back here. There's a big trellis. See the metal pole? I got kiwis in the back. And then in the front was the grapes. And then my giant fern that I like to use for flower arrangements. I only have one of these ferns and it came with the house. And I should try to propagate this at some point because I like using this in the flower arrangements. But this grape looks healthier than I've ever seen it. So I don't know if it's finally coming back. I don't know, does black spot go away? Look at all the grapes. You got kiwis and grapes. My girlfriends came over the other day, and my girlfriend Maggie was laughing because I've got little marigolds growing right here where you open up the pool gate. And I broke down and bought an umbrella because that little tarp canopy that I made, the little stanchions were not sturdy enough, so they kept bending over. But my pool is nice and clean and inviting, so I'll be in that this afternoon again. Well, let's take a walk down the driveway and see what we got going here. So I cut back the mulberry. And I got some irises and some lily of the valley here still that I never got out, and a mighty weed. And then the bindweed is starting. Those are the white morning glories, also known as bindweed. Those volunteer every year, and no matter how many times you rip them out, they come back. So what I did is, rather than fight them, I joined them. And I planted a lot of purple morning glories. Those haven't really started. That's where I'm going to let the morning glories go wild, is down this chain link fence. But this was my experimental cucumber. And it's holding its own, but it's not thriving here. So I think I'm going to pull this out and put it on my new trellis in the back, or it'll get full sun all day. And I got a lot of weeds down this fence, but I also have a lot of morning glories. See? Those will take over the fence. By August, it'll be covered in purple flowers. And I still have a couple of sweet peas holding on, making seed. Like I said, I was really disappointed with the sweet pea flowers. So I'm not sure if I'm going to grow those again. We'll see. See, look at, just going to seed. just making seeds. And then these pots here, I've been composting them. I've been putting weeds and everything else in here because I'm trying to get enough dirt so I can plant up the rest of those peach trees. And then here's some butterfly weed. That's really pretty. Those last nice in flower arrangements too. And some rudbeckia. Oh, and it looks like the first purple morning gloria started. Those will climb all up the fence. And here's the front yard. A wide shot of the front yard. And we'll talk about all the things that I've got growing in here. First of all, I need to mow the lawn. But that's a project for another day. I'm going to just walk around here and have some fun. Oh, and I'm in the shadow because it's morning. So, in this first bed here, I've got zinnias, rudbeckia, that's an oxeye daisy, and a marigold, and then all my tomatoes. These are all my sauce production tomatoes. I'll go around this way. The shadow. These are all my production sauce. Remember how little they were last month when I showed you? How big they are now. And these are a couple that I pulled off the suckers. Pull off the suckers, stick them in the dirt, and they'll grow another plant. So I had a little spot there, so I stuck another one in there. So this is my tomato production. All the way down here. And then these are my couple of onions that survived. We'll see if I get some onions. And then these are cantaloupes and squashes. These are all cantaloupes and squashes here on the end. And I mulched them with the pea. I ripped out those peas. So those are all the peas that I mulched them with. Of course, I pulled off all the seeds first. I pulled off all the edible peas, and then I pulled off a bunch to make seed for next year. And then right on the edge are those wild violets and a giant plantain, broadleaf plantain. I told you I don't have too many of them. This is my other one. I'm letting that go to seed too. All right, let's talk about that front bed. That front bed I haven't done anything with. All right, but my hydrangea is in bloom. Look how beautiful that is. Those big, beautiful blue blooms. And I trimmed up that pine tree. Under that tree is pachysandra and irises and lily of the valley. And a bunch of weeds. And that's some garden phlox. I've got garden phlox and I've got solidago, also known as goldenrod in here. And then in the front is blue ageratum. And then here is a little lily that I don't know if that's going to make it or not. It's kind of like in the shadows here. We'll see. And then I planted. Oh, it's falling over. I got to get a stick. Oh, no, it didn't make it. Got something chewed it right off. That was a sunflower. Oh, wow. That sunflower's not going to make it. And then my roses seen better days, too. I tried to train it down the railing here. And as you see all these little holes, something's eating it. Something's eating that rose. It's not happy. But I've got some phlox that's about to start. Some of it's phlox and some of it is solidago. More irises, bleeding heart that's done. I've got a couple of pots here. One of marigolds, one of zinnias, and a big lion. And then this is my little gooseberry plant from my friend Danielle that hasn't gotten a chance to pick it up. She had some things that she was dealing with, so I might just take a ride over there and just drop it off. But it looks like the couple berries that were on here are ripe, so I might need to just do that. My other bleeding heart and my swing. Now this pile of mess here is hazelnut branches. See my hazelnut tree? Well, I coppiced some branches out of here to make those trellises. So those are all the foliage at the top that I cut off. And there really wasn't any nuts to speak of on here. So I'm not sorry that I did that. And then my peony foliage. peonies are done. And again, Pachysandra and lily of the valley under this little pine tree too. And some bindweed. Bindweed. And this looks like a bittersweet vine. And as you know, as you see, I've got some weeding to do. And then under the apple trees, now nobody sprayed this year. My neighbor didn't spray. So it's going to be a test to see if organic apples, totally organic apples, are as prolific. It doesn't look like I got as many apples this year. That one doesn't look good. These two look beautiful. So we'll see what happens with the apple tree. But under the apples, I've got some phlox and some sundrops and a whole row of marigolds. And there's the hazelnut that I got to do some more coppicing, because really, this whole section here, there's no fruit on. And it's getting really tall. It's getting close to the wires. So I'm going to cut this way back, I think, and see what happens. But it's pretty how the apple tree makes a natural arch. And just more trim, and this branch is hanging not where it's supposed to be. But I got a natural arch here. And I said, oh, look, there it is. See it? The first fruit on the flying dragon. I am so excited. I have never had a fruit. Oh, look, there's another one. I've never had fruit on this thing. Look, there's another one. Oh my God, I'm so excited. So I'm going to have fruit on my flying dragon this year. How exciting. And then that's the foliage from the daffodils. I didn't dig up the ones around this tree. So they just provide natural mulch. And that's why the grass keeps encroaching here. So if I'm smart, I'll get out here and edge this. Of course, I'm not smart, am I, right? I've got a ton of projects and I don't do them well. But this side of the hazelnut tree, I've got some fruits on. See, look at. Let's get out of the shadow so you can see. Can you see that cluster of fruit? Look at this one. Look at them all. So this side of the tree, I don't know, maybe because it's getting more sun, which leads me to think that I really need to scalp this thing, coppice it way back. But this section here, underneath here, is my gooseberry. Yeah, so I gotta trim that back. And then I planted a bunch of amaranth. And there's a sunflower here. And then the wild black raspberries, they're just about done. So all these new canes that are shooting up, I need to come and clip those back too. And then I got a couple cucumbers over here too. I forgot about. There's one, and there's another one. Some daylilies. Like I said, this bed in front here, I'm letting go wild. But this is going to be a hedge of blackberries at some point. Yeah, I gotta trim back that black raspberry. Look at it, it's gonna make a cane there. And I don't want that to happen. Isn't this pretty how it makes a natural arch? That's my apple tree. I made a natural arch down to the blackberry. So pretty. As you walk down the street too, you can see it. You see the sunflower and the amaranth, and then you see the arch. It's really pretty. So here's the other apple. And some of them look good, and some of them look pretty diseased. Like, look, that one's got 2 holes in it. So I really should pull off those fruits. And then on this side, you know, more daffodil spent foliage and irises that are done. But that there, it looks like a sumac tree that I need to get out. It's either a sumac or a black walnut or a tree of heaven. And I hate all of them. So I have to get out there and get that out of there. And here's little Percy, my persimmon tree. And this little guy is so stunted from being under the apple trees, but it's tenacious. Because even though it's got a dead branch here and dead branches here, it's still producing fruit. Look at under here. There. Look at. You see that fruit? There's another one right there. See him? So Percy lives another year. Now, I'm reluctant to trim off these branches at the top because I keep hoping Percy will sprout up through the apple tree, because Percy's supposed to be so much taller than the apple trees. And I keep trimming the apple tree, trying to make room for it, but it's doing its own thing. And this blackberry's about ready to start producing too. Look at all the fruit on this. We'll see if my neighbor comes by and stuffs her face with them. All right, so this was the bed I showed you already, but I didn't show you my perennial flower bed. So I got yarrow here, and rudbeckia here, and yarrow, and the irises are all done. And I got a lily here. Ooh, just got a whiff of the lily. It smells so pretty. Pink catchfly. And those little succulents, those are done blooming. Those were yellow. This is a chocolate cherry sunflower. And I'm not sure what this is. This might be mighty weed. I think I did that plant net identification, and it told me it was a primrose. So I left it, but I've yet to see a flower on it. So I don't know how long I'm going to wait for that flower. And then my daylilies are blooming. I was disappointed. I watched YouTube the other day, and they were talking about these lilies, and they were calling them ditch lilies. But I think they're pretty, and I used to call them tiger lilies when I was a little girl. So I'm going to leave them, even though some people call them ditch lilies, because I think they're pretty. And I actually planted them here. And next to that is my echinacea, which looks to be a little bit bigger patch this year. So they're thriving in this location, and I'm very pleased about that. And then down here is the delphinium I started from seed. See that? That's yet to put up a flower spike, so maybe I have another sunflower here, and then some tall garden phlox here, and then here's my daisies, which I need to deadhead. Got some daisies here, and then this one's about ready to take off. And this one wasn't as attacked by bugs as the one I got next to the pool, but this is another hardy hibiscus. It's going to produce big, giant, dinner plate size white flowers. Another sunflower, another daylily, some more yarrow, some more rudbeckia, and of course I got the succulents all along the edge there. Some more irises that are done. And then around this side was the lupine. That's done. I saved some seed from the lupines. There's the lupine. Oh, I'm in the shadow. There's the lupine. Can you see it now? There's lupine. I stuck a couple marigolds in here too. Well, I'm in the shadow. Hi! You see my shadow? Only this shadow knows. Oh, and back there, those tall little spikes, those are gladiolas about to start. And then again, there's the other side of my tomato bed. I left a couple of rogue dills. There's a rogue dill. Some blue ageratum, wild violet. So that's about it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad you joined me this morning for some tour of my little garden. Anybody who wants to come over and help me with the chores is more than welcome. Just kidding. Oh, I missed a bed. There's the apple tree on this side. Okay. In the back is the dead daffodil foliage. And then in front of that is irises. And then in front of that is columbine, and rudbeckia, and butterfly weed. And then these are all little pink petunias that I started from seed. And some zinnias. And I've got one nasturtium in here, and I just planted some more. So there we go. All right. Have a lovely day, everybody. I'm going to go let Joey free now. I put him in the house to have breakfast while I did this. All right, that's it. Love you. Bye-bye.